we all get distracted. So what is a distraction? If you think about it, if there's a motorcycle going by, that's a noise that's perhaps out of the ordinary, and it triggers a thought. The thought may be as simple as, there's a motorcycle going by. Or it may be, there's a motorcycle going by and I'm really, really frustrated about that. Motorcycles go by and they disturb me, and I don't like that. Or it may trigger other thoughts. There's a motorcycle going by. I had a good friend who was injured very seriously in a motorcycle accident. Our mind follows a path. Each thought can lead to another thought. And so we get what I call thought cascades. Thought triggers a thought, triggers another thought, triggers another thought, and maybe that's it. But for people who are depressed, for example, those thoughts tend to be negative thoughts, and it tends to be a negative downward spiral of thoughts. So our goal in meditation is to try to reinforce the positive thoughts and to find a way of creating a new habit so that the negative thoughts won't bother you. So how do we do this? Well, we go back to that meditation journal. It's very important. As we do our 3-minute meditations, or 4-minute meditations, or 20-minute meditations, or 40-minute or an hour, as we meditate, thoughts will arise. Even if you're an advanced meditator, thoughts will arise. It's just the nature of the mind. The trick is not letting that bother you. The trick is not letting it turn into a thought cascade. So the way that we deal with that, or the way that I suggest that we deal with that, because I know that this method works, is to write down those thoughts in your meditation journal. So what are the thoughts? Start to label them. Yeah, I keep coming back to that particular thought or that particular person. Why is that? Am I angry about them? Am I in love with that person? Am I frustrated with that person? Am I disappointed with that person? Or maybe I'm happy with that person. So this is the point that we start to look at the thoughts that are arising. And we start to group them by labeling them. And over time, we can see that each day, because now we're doing meditation daily, and we're making notes in our meditation journal daily, we can see, oh, right. Whenever that is going to happen, these thoughts arise. So you can begin to see the triggers. You're able to self-diagnose the triggers of the thoughts. I'm not talking about becoming a psychiatrist and psychoanalyzing yourself. It's just very, very simple. Thoughts arise. You document the thoughts, you start to group them, and you start to analyze them. Now, if you need help with this, you might want to go to a meditation teacher or a spiritual advisor, or if the thoughts are disturbing, you might want to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. But for most of us, we can look at those thoughts and go, wow, I can't believe that. Every Wednesday I think about this. And now I understand why. There's a trigger that occurs. And it's fascinating because once the mind understands why something is happening, you gain control over it. So we have now control over that thought. And as it arises, we can begin to chuckle. And this is where we bring in the concept of the overseer in meditation. Part of the mind is looking at the other part of the mind and going, oh, now I see what's happening. Now I understand. And understanding allows us to understand the triggers, and by understanding the triggers, we can make the triggers disappear. And the more we make them disappear, the more the thought cascades are disturbed. And so now a thought arises, there's a motorcycle going by. But that's all that happens. There's not a cascade of thoughts that occurs after that. So this is the goal that we're aiming for now, and it takes time. You need to take the time to work with yourself. It's not something that's taught in schools, although actually I've taught it in schools, and some other people have taught it in schools, but generally it's not taught. People don't understand this. And yes, it's a basic thing that all of us really need to understand. We need to understand our own mind. We need to understand the way that thoughts affect our mood, the way that thoughts affect emotions. And once we gain an understanding, then we can move towards healing ourselves.